Look at that.
Now here we go, guys. Now, guys, Colin, Korg, everyone in the chat, name the types of nugs and gavins that wives in general cheat with, but especially rich guys' wives. We have the personal trainer. We have
Gerardo is the personal trainer.
Huh?
Gerardo is the personal trainer.
Yeah. Nug, Gerardo. Yeah, and then we have
Nug
Gavin.
Man.
Yeah, Gavin, the friggin' yoga instructor,
Right.
or the guy that's always playing the guitar at the open mic night. You know what I'm saying? Or here, if you're in LA, if you're in New York, Gavin, the freaking piano bar guy, because you know these old broads love going to the piano bars. You know what I'm saying? And dude's just playing the nene.
Don't forget about Enrique, the pool boy.
Yeah, facts. Yep. Catwag says yoga instructor. Yeah, jiu-jitsu instructor now. Yeah.
The gardener, the pool boy, the lawn guy.
The massage therapist.
Yeah,
the massage therapist. The swim aerobics guy.
Oh, wait. The kid's tutor.
Oh, yeah. We all know he's slaying the nene. Any regular employee that their husband has come to the house often. It's like if he has a car collection and
the maintenance guy.
To do any type of maintenance, any type of delivery guy that's coming over, dropping off packages, any type of manager at the place that they go to. So maybe like the nail salon manager might be a guy. Who else? Do you have anything else?
Nah, the nail salon manager is going to have sugar in the tank.
Nah, dude. No, because he manages the salon. He's probably, okay. So what happens is like you have these second generation American born Asian guys where they inherited their parents' nail shop.
Good point.
Right. And he's a American as apple pie, straight Asian guy. And a lot of Asian guys are working out now. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So he's probably smashing. The door-to-door salesman. Yeah. The pizza guy, the janitor at the gym, you know what I'm saying? Just smashing, So guys, this guy right here, he's a personal trainer at a pretty high-end gym. And he's going to explain to us how these rich guys drop their wives off to get trained, and then they start asking him to hit the skins. So guys, let's get into this. And guys, I put the link to this video in the description just in case you want to watch the whole thing later, okay?
I'll tell y'all, being a personal trainer at these luxury gyms, Equinox, Boston Sports Clubs in Wellesley, Massachusetts. Look up Wellesley, Massachusetts. Like,
guys, Equinox is an expensive gym.
I would say it's top 2, top 3, like wealthiest city in Boston. Like, when I was a trainer at these places, especially when I was in college, because that was my first ever quote unquote occupation that I did, especially while I was in college, there were a lot of interactions that I would have with women, married women specifically, not single women. I did have some single women that I worked with. That's fine. But married women, I would have some interactions with them.
A friend of mine used to go to college at UNLV, and he would lift weights at Vegas Fitness, which is a pretty prominent gym. And him and all his powerlifter friends, they'd work out there. And all these rich wives, they would just pass them around, just smash all of them. It was crazy, dude.
Would leave me scratching my head. Because, I'm a very moral person, and obviously don't shit where you eat, right? Like always, that was always my mindset. Never shit where you eat. And also never touch another man's wife, right? That's another thing. Consensually, of course. I know some people are going to think like I'm saying something crazy. But I would have these crazy experiences where, obviously I'm a trainer. I'm here to make money. I'm making money. And I'm working with these women. And they start to get really flirtatious, right?
Even she says, if you've never seen a camel, you will at the gym. Yeah, facts, guys. Yeah, guys. Once again, I did the video on girls in the gym. Colin, you guys saw that? The first girl, she was wondering why guys don't talk to her at the gym. Guys, the gym that I used to go to before I moved was mostly guys, right? But the gym that I go to now, it's a nice gym, but it's a lot more mixed. There's a lot of women who go there, guys. In my 44 years on this planet, I've never seen girls wear this little clothing at the gym. It's crazy. You guys, I don't look at them. I don't talk to them. If there's one on a treadmill, I'll go all the way to the other side. You know what I'm saying? And just go the opposite way. Guys, don't look at these chicks. Don't talk to these chicks. Guys, don't. If they ask to work in, say no. You know what I'm saying, guys? Don't interact with them at all, because that is just a recipe for disaster.
And you start to wonder, because you know that they're married, because they came with their husbands in that consultation. Their husbands were sitting in that consultation. Their husbands were egging them on to actually be trained by me, and they were all for it. And then once the husband left and they were just me and them in the gym, right? They would start to, say flirtatious things. They say, "Oh, you're so attractive. Like, oh, your muscles. I love how you look. Like, oh my God, like you're so amazing. I wish my husband was like that." And they would start to say things like this in the beginning, right? And I would work with these women for about 3 to 6 months, right? Nothing crazy. But as the weeks went on, the flirtations got more and more and more and more and more, right?
Look at that, guys.
To the point where it just got to a point where I'm like, "You're married." Like, I wouldn't tell them this, but in my head, I'm like, "You're married. Like, how could you be this flirtatious? Like, how could you?"
Because they are demons. That's why. You know what I'm saying, guys? We aren't shocked. We aren't surprised, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Newsflash, buddy. A ring don't plug a hole.
Yeah. Facts. Yep. That's true. Guys, that's the one thing about like some of the other red pill creators that I think the message that they push is stupid. Guys, you don't need money to get chicks. Oh, you got to make your money, bro. You got to make money. Dude, if that was the case, then all these single moms wouldn't be pregnant by Nug and Gavin. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, guys, you don't need money to get chicks. It helps because there are guys that have money that A don't get chicks, and B might get chicks, but they don't respect them, and then they bang this guy. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Jorge, what's up, man? Thanks for the membership, my friend. Appreciate that. Thanks for supporting the channel. Appreciate that. Carlos, man, thanks for handing out a membership, my friend. I really, really, really appreciate that.
Be egging me on so much. And it would get to a point, I would say typically around week 8, they would be like, "Hey, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm really attracted to you. Like, I don't really do much when I'm at home. My husband's not there. He's always at work. You can come over," or something like that.
Look at that.
They're like, "Hey, let's go do this. Let's go do that." And I would politely say no. I respectfully say no, because obviously, I respect their husbands. I respect what they're doing. I respect the hustle that they're doing. But there was one thing I realized, because these demographic of women were rich women, right?
Yeah.
And these rich women were always left at home by themselves. They were always bored. So they always wanted to talk to a lot of these guys who were in these services industries, right?
Now, here's the thing, guys. Once again, this comes from this modern sense of that a man has to be more than a protector and a provider. Guys, modern chicks want a man to be their best friend, their counselor, their protector, provider, prophet, priest, make a lot of money, but be home all the time. Guys, think about the army wives back in the 1920s and 30s and 40s. Guys, cheating has always been a thing, but a lot of times, how many times do you see with your grandparents, your granddad was just in his chair reading the paper, and grandma was in. Guys, they didn't really need to talk all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is relatively new. This is about the last 40 years, 30, since the 90s. Because even my parents weren't like best friends like that. You know what I'm saying? My mom would do her stuff, and then my dad, he would do his stuff. But they would, they were together. But my dad worked a lot. He worked a lot because he was a doctor. So he would leave the house at like 5:30 in the morning, go to the gym, and then be to work by like 8:30, and then come back at 10:30 at night.
I'm sure a lot of you guys do this, because I know I do this. You ever just sit there and you're watching TV, or it just has to be where you're relaxing and you just space out. You're just zoning out. Nothing's going on in your head. I had a girlfriend who, if I did that, she would say, "What are you thinking?" And I'd
Yeah,
say,
what's
"What?"
wrong?
And she'd say, "Well, I
Is
want
it
to."
something I did? Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't what's wrong. It was just what's going on in there. And I'd say, "Nothing." No, what do you mean? And I'd say, I just went someplace else, and she couldn't understand that. And guys just sometimes just like to tune the world out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Would have their own personal masseuse who was a male. They would have their own trainer who was a male. They'd have their own gardener who was a male. They'd have all these male services around them, right? Clearly for a reason. It never was just that, right? It never was just for just like their actual trade work that they did. But as I was talking to them more, I would try to understand what was going on at home, because that would give me a good understanding of why they act the way that they act. Because I do believe that women who feel neglected or who feel like they're just sitting at home and just like their husband is out doing whatever he's doing, again, respectful. Because
now here's the thing, guys, because he's gonna say like what they can do to fix the problem. Guys, there is no fix. If you are a woman and you want a successful man, he's not gonna be around. Period. This is this thing where women want to have their cake and eat it too, and they want the world. They think that they can have everything. They want an alpha who's alpha to everyone else but them. They want a rich guy who's always around. That's crazy. There is no fix for this problem. There isn't. Guys, all my friends that are more successful than I am, right? Friends of mine who make $300,000, guys, they work all the time. I make good money, but I make sure that I have work-life balance so that I can be yapping in this microphone with you guys. You know what I'm saying? But I have friends that are lawyers, and they work 70 hours a week. A friend of mine does IT. He works 70 hours a week. He makes $350,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? But it just doesn't make any sense. And instead of enjoying the life, and instead of enjoying the fact that she has a life that she could never afford on her own, she's gonna whine and moan and complain and let freaking the personal trainer, the gardener, the masseuse shoot up the club.
he's going out, he's going on business trips. Who knows what he's doing on these business trips, of course. But like, he's bringing in money, right? She's living this comfortable lifestyle. Why would you talk to a 19-year-old personal trainer who's in college still? Like, why would you do that?
Because you're a demon.
You know what I mean? So it's always hit me in the back of my head, like, what's going on? Like, why are you choosing to talk to me versus the guy who...
Emoji Mister, yeah, oftentimes that is true. But guys, so what? So what? If guys making $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, and his wife's driving a Lambo truck and a 9-bedroom house or whatever, so what if he smashes his secretary? Guys, a lot of chicks, guys, are okay with that because they just look at the house, look at the cars, and say, you know what? Him smashing some 21-year-old secretary is not worth me divorcing him and then having to get a job. You know what I'm saying? But then the fact is, guys, there are some chicks whose their ego is worth more to them than a life that they could never have on their own. Just think about how insane that is. These chicks that are with these successful guys, they are basically the equivalent of a duchess, right? Or a baroness, right? But they're willing to give that up and divorce the guy and be a single mom, all because he smashed a secretary. Please.
Who's rich. Don't women like rich guys? Don't they only want money? And when I started to really analyze this, I noticed that the money was kind of like a safety net for them. They want the rich guys because the rich guys have the money that will give them the lifestyle that they want. But the fun comes in with the guy who may not be rich, but also has a certain personality and has a certain edge to him that they're super attracted to, more of like the high testosterone guy, right? That like they just have like this crazy fondness of, they fantasize over. A lot of women fantasize over the personal trainer. They fantasize over the masseuse that touches them a little bit in a certain way and they get excited and they want to do this and they want to do that. I'm not saying all women, but that happens consistently. And it got to a certain point where I was really just asking so many questions about their relationships, and they would open up. They would say a lot. They say, "Oh, well, you know, he doesn't last very long. Like it's kind of boring. Like I've never orgasmed in my." Like, they would just like throw this shit out there. And they would bash the guy so much. And in my head, I'm like,
look at that.
Talking about whores, people. They're everywhere.
But he's a millionaire. Like, bro, when I tell you, Wellesley, Massachusetts, billionaires out there, right? There are. I remember when I was waiting tables, because I did a little bit of serving at the country club, the Wellesley Country Club. The CEO of Bank of America was there. I'll never forget that. I didn't even know who he was. I served him, right? And these are the types of guys that live there. Like all the NBA players live there, everything, right? And all of their wives, I'm not saying his wife, or I'm not saying any NBA player's wife, but like a lot of these rich guys' wives would go to these trainers and they would flirt with them and they would do things with them. And it always puzzled me because I'm like, you have something safe at home. Why are you coming here and taking the risk with somebody? What if he finds out? Right. But then obviously, you know, they have probably half of whatever the guy has and they feel like they can do whatever they want. And it was just crazy to experience this stuff. And they would always talk about how like he doesn't necessarily listen to me, doesn't pay enough attention to me. I always feel like I'm alone. I'm with the kids. Like I just like want to have some fun. Right. And it's tough to hear this as a man because you're like, man, what if this shit happens to me? Which, again, it can happen to anybody.
There you go. There you go, guys. And this is why, guys, I was going to do my channel as being primarily like black male focused. But then, you know what? It can happen to anybody, guys. Rich, poor, black, white, Hispanic, your military, police. It doesn't matter, guys. Doesn't matter. These 304s are just demons, man. They're friggin' Dark Souls bosses. All of them. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely insane.
It can happen to me, it can happen to you, it can happen to anybody. It doesn't fucking matter. The reality is it is a possibility, right? But what I've also noticed is it's a possibility that can be reduced if you're a man who can basically do more, right? And again, this is going to piss off a lot of guys. They're like, why do I have to do more? I just don't want to date women at all. Go ahead. Don't do that, right? That's your prerogative. But I take that as a masculine man, I take that as a challenge. Like how can I be somebody who's also fun, cool to talk to, like can actually give the woman a good experience while also getting the money as well, right? It's good to have both. But a lot of these guys will be so focused on their careers, which again, respect to.
Because they have to be. That's just the thing, guys. In order to make that much money, you have to focus on your career. I understand what he's saying, but guys, any effort. This is why you have to find a woman who's your support system. She's okay with being the vice president. You know what I'm saying? But you can't take effort away from you trying to slay the dragon. Worry about the woman at home. It makes no sense.
Because that's super important. But the woman would be on the side just fucking around, right? Idle's mind is the devil's playground is what I learned. Because as they're doing these exercises, they're pointing their butt out a certain way. They want to do more squats. All of a sudden, they want you to get right behind them. They want you to do all these different things. And I just realized, man, I'm like, if you're a dude and you let your woman like go be with like a male trainer or like a male masseuse or any of these different services, you're kind of cooked at the end of the day, especially if you're a grinder, if you're somebody who's really working hard and building and you're not at home very often. The likelihood of something happening is a lot higher. And I didn't realize this until I went through that process. And once I started to understand, like, it's not about the money. It's not. It's about the fun. It's about the thrill. It's about the emotional roller coaster. A lot of these guys, when I would meet them, when they would come and sit down at like, you know, we would do halfway point reviews and stuff like that. And like they'd want to renew and everything. They would be so excited that I'm working with them. They're like, man, you're doing so great. She looks so amazing, et cetera, right? And it's like they just didn't understand what was going on behind the scenes. It like could not even be possible in their mind that their wife would be flirting with a 19-year-old personal trainer. Like what? Like I have the money. Of course she's attracted to me. It's like, no. And by the way, a lot of these guys were fat. Out of shape. I was like, man, I'll train both of you guys. I jokingly say this in the consultations. I'll be like, man, I can train both of you guys. Actually, that'd be dope. And of course, the woman would be like, no, it's just for me. And the guy's like, yeah, she can have that. Guys. Now, what's crazy is the woman would want to get in better shape. The man would not. As she got in better shape, she would start to look in different directions, right? I would see the same woman looking at other trainers as well, not just me. I'm not saying that I'm like this Casanova or nothing like that. It was just the idea of being with somebody who was in shape, somebody who was young, somebody who looked adventurous, somebody who looked like they were just living life just on the edge. Like that's what they were looking for, you know? And so it got to a certain point where I just realized it's not all that it seems to be. Like,
but they're all 304s, right, guys? You guys, this isn't anything new, you know, guys. I used to work part time, like a couple hours a week as a personal trainer at a gym. So it's years and years and years ago. I used to see it. You know what I'm saying? I used to see these chicks flirting with these dudes, right? There was one guy who worked there. He was like an overweight dude, and he was a trainer there, and he was piping down all types of chicks. It was crazy, you know. So
chasing money is great to be able to chase a fulfilled life when it comes to like your finances, to make sure that you're not stressed all the time. But it gets to a certain point where all of your life as a man has to be balanced, right? And it's like, you can have the greatest woman in the world, but if you neglect her completely, she's going to go awry. She's going to.
And there you go, guys. And that's why, guys, in order to be successful, guys, you got to mind your own business. Colin Cork, right? Think about that. You say you can't neglect your chick if you're successful. Well, it's easier to be successful if you're on your own, right? Right, guys? Then you don't have to worry about it. Look at that.
Yeah, but the guy's got a double-edged sword because she wants all this money and she wants all these things, but the only way to get the money and the things is to work long hours, and then she's griping that you're never here.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, they want everything, you know? And guys, sorry to say it, but there is a marriage cap to success a lot of times. A lot of places you won't make it to the C-suite unless you're married. You won't make partner at the law firm unless you're married. You won't make lieutenant or sergeant at the police force, or you won't go from lieutenant to captain in the military unless you're married. That's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? So
start doing other shit because they need attention. All of them do. It's normal for them to want attention. But it was just crazier to see these rich women who had the money, who wanted people who didn't have the money. All the trainers around me also were kind of similar to me financially. Like, we weren't balling, probably making around 50K a year, 40K a year doing the training stuff at the gym. You know how the gym works. Like, you get paid probably 20%, if best, of what they're paying you per session, right? The going rate for those gyms that I was working at, the Equinox one in San Francisco, was $200 a session, right? Crazy, $200 a session. The one in Wellesley in Boston, Massachusetts, was around $90 a session, $90 to $100 a session. So these were like higher price things. And so we would get a small percentage of that. We'd only get 20%. And I just understood. I was like, man, it's not what the whole like idea of women, like it just shattered my idea. Like it helped me understand that like you are not safe even with money.
And this is because this guy believed the whole sugar and spice and everything nice and and women are good. No, guys, here's the thing. I'm an equal opportunity hater. You know what I'm saying, guys? Because one of the things, one of the other hallmarks about becoming a man that I don't talk about is, guys, once you start seeing men can be lying, cheating, moronic pieces of trash, then you start saying, you know what, women can be lying, cheating, moronic, violent people too. You know what I'm saying? The same. I look at men and women pretty much equally, and I don't trust, once again, guys, you don't have to respect any group, any sex, any race, any religion, because respect is earned. Period.
If you're one-dimensional, if you only have money, you're not safe. You got to have multiple different attributes to you that wow the woman. You have to be in her fantasy consistently as a man. Like, if you're jacked, you're in shape, and you're also making money, and you're also charismatic, and you're also super competent in other areas of life.
In other words, you got to be Superman. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
She will always be attracted to you for the most part. And you have the freedom to be able to do things with her and have adventures with her. Like, a lot of these women would always tell me like, oh yeah, we go on vacation like once a year. you know, because he's always traveling for work and stuff like that. And I'm always like with the kids and all of that. And they would tell me everything about their relationships, everything about their lives. And I would feel so bad for these guys because maybe they knew, maybe they didn't know. Maybe they just didn't give a fuck, honestly. Because I've also come across a lot of guys who are well off that don't give a fuck what their woman does because they're also doing some shit on the side and they're really just there to build the family, build the legacy, and just do whatever, right? This would typically happen. But it would be so interesting to understand how these women think and how they view their relationship and how they don't give a fuck about their relationship and how they see their relationship as almost a crutch to their life versus like something that is actually a benefit for them. I mean, they're benefiting with the money. They're benefiting with the guy who's ambitious, right?
Yeah. That's giving them a life that they could never afford on their own. Look at that, guys.
But they want the other things. They want the intangible thing or the tangible things that aren't necessarily as important as the money. And as I started to learn this, even when I was at Equinox, it was the same exact pattern, the same exact scenario. These rich women would come around, they would talk, they would over talk about their conversations with their husbands and their issues in the bedroom, their issues with his physical appearance, their issues with his over dedication to work. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like,
isn't that such a woman thing to do? She pulls up in a $200,000 Lambo truck, right? SUV. After pulling out of a $2 million house with a nanny, personal chef, right? Coming back from a trip to the Maldives and then has the nerve to talk about the guy. Isn't that insane, guys? Isn't that just like the most woman way to think?
How ungrateful could you be?
Yep.
Like this guy that you're married to, this multi-millionaire, is out here doing everything possible to keep your life beautiful. But you go to this personal trainer who possibly would financially ruin your life to get something, the 10% that you don't have.
There you go, guys. See? Colin, what did you say the other day? A man will ruin his happiness for his family, and a woman will ruin her family for happiness. Right?
No. A man will sacrifice his own happiness for the family. A woman will sacrifice the entire family for her own happiness.
Yeah, fact. Yep. True.
So it was an interesting dynamic where I realized that a lot of men think that, like, okay, I can give 90%, and even if I don't have the 10%, it's fine. But they don't tend to realize the 10% that they ignore is the 90% that the woman wants. It goes both ways with relationships that I've noticed. When I've trained these women, I finally realized this. I was like, a lot of men think like I'm giving 90% of what I think she wants, and I don't have that 10%. And in the woman's mind, he's giving nothing because there's the 10% that she wants is the 90% that he gives, and the 90% that she wants is only actually 0% of what he gives. So there's like a misalignment in what's being given on both sides, right? That's why men cheat, because they look for that 10% that they don't have in the household. That's why women cheat, because they look for that 10% that they don't have.
And he is right. He is right there, guys, because I always laugh when these chicks that are wives that are decent looking or still attractive, right? Their husband cheats with a bust down. You know what I'm saying? Cheats like a mid chick. She's like, I can't believe he cheated on me with that. Your chick's a little bit hefty. She's like a 5. You know what I'm saying? But do you know what homegirl does? Right? Laughs at his jokes. It's flirty. You're so funny. He doesn't nag him. You know what I'm saying? Actually makes him feel like he's an actual human being. You know what I'm saying? You can be the hottest chick in the world, but if you're disrespectful, if you're rude, dude's gonna go for the chick that actually treats him decent every single time, guys. And it's funny because all throughout history, guys, back when Colin's about my age, back when we were in high school and stuff, guys, the big girls and the mid chicks, they knew that was the only way that they could compete with the hot girls, is they had to be really, really, really cool. They had to be easy. They had to give it up quick. Right? They had to do things in the sack that the hot girls wouldn't, and they had to be cool. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And that's why chicks couldn't believe why they would see like a really attractive guy with a chick that they would consider beneath him. Well, obviously she's doing something. You know what I'm saying? And instead of asking what that is, they just think that there's something wrong. That's what a lot of B-dubs get mad at us black guys for. Well, you know, I think I'm attractive, and you know, he's with this white girl who's like a 4 or 5. Maybe because she shuts up and she'll put a hot dog on a plate every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Why do all these NFL players, they're with white girls, and a lot of them are just mid? It's like, well, because they're worried about not getting their head caved in on the football field and they want to come home to peace. How about that? Because all the white players get peace, all the Samoan players get peace. I was gonna say Asian, but there's no Asian in the NFL, right? All the Hispanic dudes get peace. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
It means more to them than the 90% that they're getting. So it was a very interesting dynamic. And luckily for me, man, like I believe in karma, so I never ever shit where I eat, bro. Like never. And I would just come away with so much more wisdom and so much more understanding of like women who actually are in marriages with successful men, like how they truly think, how money is not everything. It is something. It is something that's very important. I'm not sitting here saying that you should not go get money and you should just get jacked and be broke and live whatever. Do both, because you can do both. And that's what I would always look at their husbands, and I'm like, bro, you could go to the gym. You're not traveling every single day. And even if you are traveling, there's a gym in that hotel. You can go train. You can take care of yourself. You don't have to look the way that you look. But they don't care because they're like money. Most of these guys were money hungry.
Now that is true. Because guys, I have a lot of friends that are rich, successful guys. Part of being, guys, you have to take that same ambition and that same strive to better yourself monetarily, and you have to apply it to your health. There's actually quite a few lawyers and doctors that are in great shape because they just cannot look in the mirror and see imperfection. You know, they can't see just being fat and lazy. They just can't. It's just not in them to do so. You know what I'm saying? So my dad worked 6 days a week, 10-hour days. He still was in the gym. You know what I'm saying? I've always been in the gym, So guys, always find a way to exercise. Guys, a good two for one deal. If you guys are busy, guys, join a kickboxing gym. That's one of the best ways to actually, knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. You learn how to fight, and you burn a whole bunch of calories in like 45 minutes, like an hour. You know what I'm saying? If you can do that 3 or 4 times a week, even if you're like traveling for work or even doing like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's affiliate schools you can go to in almost every town, every city. You know what I'm saying? And burn a whole bunch of calories and stay in shape. So
to get to that level to where like these guys were making they had like multi-millions of dollars in money that was coming into them every single year. They had these billion-dollar corporations, but they didn't give a fuck about their health because they just cared about the money. And I would see the relationship just like drift. And I would see the upcoming problems that would come in. A lot of these guys end up getting divorces because they would come back into the gym a year or 2 later and be like, yeah, things didn't work out, man. Like everything went bad. And they would literally just like go to the gym and start to train because they realized, damn, I need to get in shape. I didn't take care of my body and stuff like that. They would talk about the sex life that they had. They would say how it was piss poor. And it just taught me so much, man. But like I wanted to tell you guys this because I know a lot of us are here, like, we're chasing the bag, we're chasing the money, we're chasing all these things. And we also do want to have women, right? We do. You're attracted to women, right? It's okay to say that, fellas. It's okay to say you're attracted to women. And I know the key with that, to maintain the attraction, to maintain the pull, is to stay in shape, make money, and be very, very social with the woman, right? Be very involved as best as you can. Show some level of involvement. That's all of it. And I think a lot of guys don't necessarily do this, and they tend to fail with women a lot. That's why a lot of rich guys get divorces very, very, very quickly. Like,
that's not true. A lot of rich guys get divorced Because the government incentivizes chicks to divorce them. You can do everything right, guys. You can do everything this guy says, and you'll still get cooked. You'll still get cooked. And guys, here's the thing. Once again, a lot of rich guys honestly don't mind getting divorced because they're just going to make the money back, right? I mean, you look at Tiger Woods. He gave that broad $250 million, but now he's a billionaire. But guys, Tiger Woods' wife is never going to live as good as she was living when she was with him. She has a finite amount of money, right? Like even investing it, like he's making more money than ever. Michael Jordan too. Michael Jordan got divorced, and I think it was like a $180 million divorce, and now he's a billionaire. You think that chick is able, that his ex-wife is able to grow that money into $1 billion? Please.
You've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked. Bamboozled. Led astray. Run amok.
AJ,
Yeah.
the old joke is, why is divorce so expensive? Because it's worth it.
Worth it. Yeah.
Once you've been through it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's actually cheaper to get rid of her, even though the old saying is, well, it's cheaper to keep her. Nope.
Yeah. Because guys, your peace is worth it. It's priceless. You understand? Guys, there are guys who will lose the house in the divorce, right? They'll get cooked. Guys, they come home to that studio apartment or that one bedroom apartment, and it's quiet, and they can sit down, crack open a beer, put on Band of Brothers, and just be left alone. You know what I'm saying? That's more priceless. They can watch their favorite sport, like football or baseball, watch the whole season without getting nagged or uninterrupted. Or interrupted. So
the woman waits for a certain period of time until everything's on autopilot, and she collects her bag and she runs. And it's like, I see this shit happen over and over again. And as a young trainer, it blew my fucking mind. Because I'm like, if you have money, then the woman's going to stay loyal. I was like, nah, it's not the case at all. You have to have more things. You have to have more things to offer. Is this fair? No. Right? Of course it's not fair, but life isn't fair. But at least when you understand these things, you can operate differently and you can focus on different areas of your life and do what I always say is become multidimensional. Because when you're multidimensional, how can she compare you to anybody at that point? Because you
they always find a way, right, guys? This guy is taller. We can't fix that. This guy is more handsome than you are. This guy has quote unquote game. Those are things that you can't, guys. Charisma, you can teach it, but there are those who just have it, and compared to him, you're cooked. You know what I'm saying? So
you tick so many boxes, and you tick the right boxes, right? You are in shape, so that way you're not a minute man, right? You're somebody who can take their clothes off in broad daylight, and you're comfortable in your own skin. You are making the money, right? Because you have this career that you're doing, or you have this business that you're running. You understand the concept of making money. You have the charisma. You can make her laugh. You can tell stories. You can captivate.
But guys, this is the thing. If you're rich, if you're successful, you're such a small percentage of guy. What the hell do you have to be all of this for her for? Guys, we live in a society where you have to be all this stuff to a woman. Guys, women are everywhere. Women are like buses at the bus stop. A new one comes along every 15 minutes. Think about how insane, guys. He is correct, but at the same time, it's like it's never been this way all throughout human history. You know what I'm saying? Chicks used to know that they have to compete. They have to check all the boxes for the guy. They have to keep him. It's not him who has to work to keep her. He's already done what he has to do. So what if he's fat? If he doesn't last long? So what? He's in the top 1%, 2% of men on planet Earth. Come on, dude. Insane.
Her imagination whenever you need to. You can be around. You have the freedom, right? A lot of these corporate guys are stuck. Golden handcuffs, right? Golden handcuffs. I remember my uncle's probably the most successful person in my family. And he left his corporate job that was paying him multiple six figures a year to go build his own business because he wanted the freedom that came with that business. He was chasing freedom at that point. He was like, man, I got golden handcuffs. He told me, Martell, if he's the one that actually pushed me to go to Babson College, because I didn't want to go there. He was like, Martell, if you can do anything, be an entrepreneur, own your life. Yes, it will be a sacrifice in the beginning, but own your time. Because when you go into these corporations and you start working in these corporations, you will never have time for yourself. You'll never have time for your family. The job will be your entire life, and you will literally feel like a slave, and that paycheck won't mean anything. And that's what I saw with a lot of these guys that these rich women would be marrying, right? These rich guys that these women would be marrying. Let's keep it real, right? Because that's what
modern women, because all the generations of women knew better. You know what I'm saying? They knew better. They were just fine, chilling at home. You know, guys, there's not even military wives anymore. Back in the day, in World War II, guys would write home to their wives, and their wives were actually waiting for them if they made it back. You know what I'm saying? That's how dedicated that women were to marriage back in the day. And especially these guys. Back in the 50s, 60s, chicks knew that if they were married to a lawyer, he wasn't going to be around. That's how it works. You know? Now, it's just sad.
They got the source of money. But it was just crazy to experience this stuff and like really, really see the dark mind of how women work when their man is not there. And it just taught me, man, it's just like, one, never ever say okay if your woman wants to hire a male trainer. You should be in the best shape of your life to where you're giving her nutritional advice, you're giving her training advice.
There you go, guys, right there. Colin, Corey, you guys know why that's not good advice?
Run that past me again.
Why is what he said not good? We said that you should be in such good shape where you can be her trainer and nutritionist.
Oh, it don't matter. Because they'll bang a homeless guy. They don't care.
No, because there's a saying, you can be the best coach in the world. You can coach anyone except your wife. You know what I'm saying? Guys, you can have all the workout knowledge in the world, but women don't listen to their boyfriends, fiancés, or husbands. They don't do it.
That's absolutely true.
You can be the best trainer on planet Earth, and because it's coming from you, they will not listen. They won't.
Yep. Because her friend's husband said something, or her friend's
she read it in a magazine.
Yep.
Yeah. How many times have you told the girl that you're with something? It's like, now that isn't true. And then she'll read it in Cosmo or read it on the news, like, oh my God, this is it. I told you that like a month ago. But because it comes from you, guys, didn't we?
Dude, my ex-wife did that to me several times where, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I told you that a couple months back, and she'd get pissed.
Just saw the one thing where the guy was going through tomatoes, and he was picking the ones that his wife picked out of the bag, and she was like, not saying no, as in like, all because he was the one suggesting it. You know what I'm saying?
I know a guy whose wife would watch those home improvement channels, and she thought, oh, well, they only did it in 45 minutes, so whatever it is, it should be really easy to do. And he'd say, no, that's going to take me about 2 weeks. Why is it going to take so long? It didn't take them that long.
Okay, if your woman wants to hire a male trainer, you should be in the best shape of your life to where you're giving her nutritional advice, you're giving her training advice. You should be the go-to for that. She wants to get a masseuse, you learn how to give good massages so she doesn't need that shit. Everything, bro. And expect the same for her too, whatever your needs are, bro. Like if you're a hypersexual guy and you want to have sex all the time, like she should be catching up with that. And if she doesn't, then boom, but now you got to go somewhere else, right? So it has to be give and take. But at the end of the day, it's like when you can master multiple different things, life becomes a lot easier and your relationships become a lot easier.
Look at that, guys.